we're here with part 2 of the show and tell that I have the on my deck. And I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to be looking because I have never videotaped on this phone before. My husband gonna keep getting my little pictures. He don't want to get in. He dressed in yard work clothes, so I know he don't want to be seen. He was out this morning doing yard work. So we're just waiting for people to come into the live chat here. Um, Yay! I'm seeing a couple numbers. So, yay! Welcome, guys. So sorry about the previous chat where I had to stop and start again. But I do want you all to see the detail on my quilts. And some people were saying that it was getting blurry. So, I'm actually going to go back and show you all the chevron quilt that I did. We're going to start back over there just in case for those that couldn't see it earlier. So thank you all so much. And I do know that a lot of people are not going to come back into the chat. I was over 100. I didn't look at the number before I closed out, but I do appreciate those of you that are coming back into the chat. Really appreciate it. So number is jumping up pretty fast, so people are waiting on notifications. So let me give just another couple of seconds here before we get started. Hi, Pearl Medina, Donna Martinez, Melinda C, Nikki B. I'm just going to read some I can see. Remo JS, Jason Lewis. And I'm out here, nighttime bugs trying to come out because we got our lights on since we out here. We got the motion lights on. Since we out here, we got lights on now. Ingrid Bowers and Julie M. So I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to get ready to get started. Okay. So I'm going to show you again this pattern here. Somebody was asking me the pattern name. I don't know it, but I will get that information. I probably will have some in stock, but I'll see. Let me show you again the quilting up close. This is the challenge quilt. And then this is what the quilting on the back look like. It shows up a lot better now that the sun's off of it. This is the trip around the scrap basket that I'm going to be doing a Zoom class with. I have to get the instructions. I taught this class. It had to be over 10-15 years ago. And I had forgot all about this. But I think this would be a good class, especially for intermediate beginners. So you can do this pretty easy. So this one here is the one that has the batik quilting on it. And then the back is just a hodgepodge of various different things that I had from previous quilt backs. That's one of the ways that I make my quilt backs is from other quilt backs. And I do have a video on how I make quilt backs. It's a 3-part series. Showing you how I make quilt backs, so you can research that on my Teaquilts channel. Just put in Teaquilts on YouTube and quilt backs. So I'm going to put you in the order of how I sewed at Quilt Retreat. Now, since we're with the big panels, this right here is the first one that I did. I sewed the rows together. I had all of my blocks and everything already sewed. I had either 1 or 2 panels. I can't remember because I did so much and I was tired. But I sewed, and I have a 3-inch float that I added on the bottom. In the pattern, they had no float on the top and 1 inch on the bottom. And so then I did all of these blocks. I did not repeat the blocks like they did in the pattern. If I had a block that looked similar, then I would put a frame on it or do something different with it. My small blocks, I might have some duplicates, but I kind of like resized them, so you may not see it to the eye, but I tried not to do duplicate blocks if I could. Not in the same size. Like if I made a crumb block, I made them in different sizes. And then one of my favorites is my crumb jar quilt here. Let me clean you guys off, make sure. Sorry. I just want to make sure that you all are seeing what I'm saying. And thank you to the 71 people that are back in things saying it's reconnecting too. You know what? It's on my Wi-Fi. All right, guys. Okay. So the boho is slightly out of focus. So how is it now? I just took my home Wi-Fi off. Thank you, C Joy. So I do experiment a lot, and so I was using all K facet prints in my blocks, and then thank you. I was using all K facet prints in my blocks, and then I used all of those black prints with all the rainbow of color that I've been collecting, and this was only 15 to 20 of them. I do have more, but I just stopped pulling them because I'm like, girl, but I just wanted you all to see that, you know, you can do weird things like this, and sometimes they do pay off. So experimenting is good. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. If I don't like it, I just make it a gift quilt. Over here I have my African, just one block, one square that I cut for the most part, and I did again float this quilt top around the outside edge all the way around. And then I added, so that was my first border, is this float here. And then I added purple and then this African print. And I did want this quilt to end up square. It's actually going to go on my bed. So my top and bottom borders are different from my side borders. My side borders are the same size. My top and bottom border are the same size. But they're different from the sides as far as width, but the same print. I love this. It's amazing to me how you can just cut a square, don't have to make 100 and whatever one blocks that we have in this particular pattern, that you can do whatever you want with this and it still comes out to be fantastic. Some of them I fussy cut, and others I just let the print fall where it may. So I really enjoyed this. A lot of work. African prints are a little stiffer, so that also makes them heavier when you're doing them. So that was another reason that I was tired of doing borders. And I had none of these borders pre-cut when I got there. All the cutting was done there. All the sizing I needed was done there. So it was a lot of work. Next thing that I worked on was I had the gold on this Crown Royal quilt. Yes, Ingrid, I love the difference between them too. She's saying between the two boho heart quilts. So I had the gold on here already, and I had this, and you all know that I had started piecing these units. So at retreat, I got all of those side pieces that I had sewn. These are all chisels. I got those all pressed, and then I got them sewn into what I needed for each side of the border. This is a square quilt. I can't remember right now, but I want to say it's about 86 inches, somewhere in that area. And I've been working with these Crown Royal bags, and they're fraying a lot. So therefore, I went ahead and put some grunge on the outside just so that I wouldn't have the bag fabric on the outside. Normally, I would have just stopped here, called it a day, but that, honey, these cheap bags they making now, they are gonna fray a whole lot when you cut them. So this is the quilt, and this is why I wanted to come show you all my projects, so that you could really see them, because it was so blurry on the film, it really didn't do them any justice. So I wanted to come back and show you all that. And then the last one that I have is the one that I did last, because I wanted to do all my previous projects first, is the panel quilt. And again, I used a very large panel because I was looking for something wedding related and couldn't find it in the 100% cottons. And so one thing that I did do was I tried squaring this quilt up, and of course it's not printed square. Also, that was my first mistake. And then number two mistake was that once I cut it, because they have little serging around the edges, this panel start to fraying. So on the back of this panel is all kind of stuff from it fraying from being cut. But I like this panel. I bought it on Amazon, And I got this for my niece. She's getting married in September, so now I'm ahead of the game. That's why I wasn't in a rush to do it, but I'm like, girl, if you got it here, go ahead and get it done. So I wanted this for their wedding quilt. I can't remember what size it ended up being. Maybe about 76 by 96, something like that. So I didn't necessarily make it for a bed, but they can both wrap up in it on a sofa, something like that. I'm going to show you the bottom because I got the top thrown over the deck. But it has this in the upper left corner. And then your upper right corner looks like that. Has 3 square and a square blocks. And then I put, so a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 borders was put onto this panel in order to make this quilt top. So I do really love it. Her wedding colors are silver and green, and I didn't have any African fabric that was silver and green, so this is what I could come up with. And so I had to figure out how to incorporate green in here, and there's just very little few specks of green in the crown here. So a little bit of green goes a long way. So yeah. So let me turn you guys around. I think I'm done showing. So that way you're looking at me when I'm walking back towards my husband. I had a great time as usual at retreat. I always enjoy retreats because I get to go somewhere. I can sew all day long at home, but you get distracted by the television, you get distracted by your phones, you get distracted by people that know you're at home. And so when I go to retreats, it's normally just me at retreat. I don't have those distractions, and so I can get a lot more done. So that's the main reason that I actually like retreat. Is it's uninterrupted work. I'm a night owl anyway, so staying up late. I actually go to bed earlier at retreat than I do if I was at home, which is the weirdest thing. And that's because I have to get on everybody else's schedule with getting up to eat. I'm cutting on my fan, y'all. I have to get on everybody else's schedule with getting up to eat and stuff like that. So I'm going to pull you guys up on my iPad. I'm just going to go into YouTube so I can read the comments so I don't have to keep going to the little bitty screen over here. Woo-wee. Let's see if it pulls me up. I'm out here looking rough out here in this heat. Y'all know me and the heat don't get along, girls. Well, quilters, because I got some guys in here, quilters. Let's see. I'm going to the bottom. Maria saying she needs to go to a retreat. Yes, I think every quilter deserves to go on a retreat. So let me go back. Pat Boo says, where is your she shed going? You have a huge yard. Yes, I originally was going to put it more toward the center of the yard, but then my daughter told me, she said, Mom, you know you up in the middle of the night, and we don't want you walking from the middle of the yard. So it's actually going to go where my chevron quilt is. That's going to be the side of it. However, I've told you all that I have since lost my contract for the shed. So I have to, I'm waiting. I talked to somebody yesterday. They were supposed to email me the city plans. Of course, this girl hasn't sent them to me. And I went up there yesterday. So it looked like I'm going to have to make another trip to my city office because I don't want to be talking to any other contractors until I know what the city requirements are. So that way I can get a true estimate on what it is that I need to do ahead of time. Because if I'm buying a shed and then you're telling me I need a concrete pad, or the way that this person is going to, what do you call it, anchor it, it's not what you would prefer, that's a whole nother different price on what I'm going to spend. So I was about to spend more money without it being in my plans. I need to know where I'm spending money because I got a Hawaiian cruise scheduled as well. So I need to know what I'm paying, and getting that concrete pad was going to cost me thousands of dollars added on, at least $3, especially for the size shed that I wanted. And I have no idea what concrete costs now that everything is up high. So I'm up here, got myself going, y'all. All right, let me put myself on pause over here. All right, so that's the problem with the shed. I have no idea at this point if I'm even going to be able to even get a shed this year because of my city is not doing what they need to do. And my next step is to actually go talk to the mayor. And it's ridiculous that if this is not the first shed put into this neighborhood. I can look up and down all these yards and I see shed, 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 shed. And this ain't the first one. And I don't understand why we don't have a written protocol for sheds. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. So she's new. We hated the guy that did her job before, but at least he knew his job and he did his job. He was very persnickety. Like the little stuff he would be worried about. It's like, man, that ain't no big deal. And he was so particular. And so, but he had expertise and you got your things done right away. It's been 2 months that I've been trying to get this information total, and my contractor has since gotten tired of dealing with them, and he has bailed out on the job. So I got to find somebody else. I don't want to find anybody else because it was a lot of work to find him. I don't want to find anybody else and start scheduling stuff again until I get what I need in my hand, and she has not even done that. Let's see. Beautiful panel quilt, beautiful wedding quilt for your niece, and that's from Don. And then Tiffany saying that's great, would be a wonderful gift. Zandra Oldham saying supposed to be or beautiful. I don't know what I said. Supposed to be or beautiful. She was talking about a previous comment that I didn't see. Nikki saying love it. Pat Boo saying I'm late as usual. Judy says beautiful work. They will love that quote. Yes. Bonita says awesome quilts. Don says, do you know how you will quilt your boho hearts yet? Nope. I don't really know sometimes until I put them things on the frame. And I think I had custom quilted one of my friends' boho hearts, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that because I got such busy prints. I don't think it actually shows up, so it doesn't really make any difference. So I probably will be quilting both of them because my the African prints are busy. I'm just going to select some overall quilting design on both of those. I'm not going to waste my time trying to custom quilt. You don't see it in the end because, especially on mine, because I got such background busy prints, and then I also have blocks that are busy because of the type of fabrics that I chose. So the quiltings, I'm going to keep it very minimal on the quilt with the black background, and I don't know what I'm going to do on the African quilt, but it's not going to be the feature. I don't even know what color thread to use at this point because they got so many colors in them. Nikki saying it's 90 degrees in Jefferson City. Beautiful quilts from Quilt Gal. I have so much. Oh, he's talking to Kim. Elaine says too hot, too hot, too hot. Yes, honey, I'm still sweating out here, and the sun finally went down. Darcy says I would love to go on a retreat. Not driving makes it difficult. Yeah, you can fly to some retreats, but eventually you're gonna either have to pay Uber or something like that, get in a car eventually, because most retreat centers are not going to be somewhere where you can get public transportation, like easily anyway, get it easily. Ooh, Hawaii, yes. I can't wait. You need a concrete pad. I don't need a concrete pad if it's not ordinance to need a concrete pad. Diane, every place is different. It just depends, because we got one now that's anchored into the ground. It's not on a concrete pad. So they do make wood decks pads in this house. You have to go down so far to anchor them. That's how my current shed is in the yard now. So if they've changed that, we just need to know that. If it hasn't changed, then I can just go with whatever is the cheapest route, because this shed has been here since we've been in this house, and it hasn't blown up in any tornadoes or winds. It's been sitting just fine, hasn't even shifted at all. So I don't think that I actually need a concrete pad. My husband propped my shed on 4 concrete blocks and a thick piece of wood. I don't know the style of your shed though. Yeah. I was having a whole bottom deck built for it, and the deck was going to be, but it had a little room where the shed is sitting on the deck, but we could never get that approved because she don't know her job, basically. Damali says, I came back, wish you luck on the shed. So yeah. T says, you did a lot of work on retreat. Yeah, I was really busy. I stayed in my seat. I didn't go around talking to people. I had a lot of stuff that I needed to do. So there was no way that I was going to be popping up and down, because I had been sick for a few days before, and then working on challenge quilts. So yeah, that took up about 3 or 4 days. Had some machine issues for one day. It just ended up being like one little thread can throw your whole machine off. It's the craziest thing in the whole wide world. And then I went and quilted the second quilt. I didn't have any problems, okay? But the first quilt I put on there, it gave me the blues trying to get that quilt quilted. And I believe it was just one thread. Now, I clean everything before I start. But, you could be missing a thread, or a thread got caught on the tile and then it got caught on a rail or something. And it can throw the whole thing off. So that's kind of what happened. Diane says it helped with vibration. I don't know if I have any vibration in the shed by the time you put all the stuff in there. I've never felt that shed vibrate. We have our yard stuff in there, so I haven't felt anything vibrate in there. But we got wood in there, old decking that we sometimes use when we need to fix something. We'll use some old decking. So we got some weight in there. We got tables and chairs. We got some of it out here that we haven't all put out. But yeah, I said lawnmower earlier. But we do have some other chairs, tables, things I might be thinking about throwing away. I used to have, my backyard is so big, I used to have Labor Day, and I had, I would invite, when I was working, I would invite everybody at work. I invite my family, and so now I just invite mostly my family. So I don't need as many tables and chairs as I used to use. So we'll see. What size she shed were you hoping to get? A minimum of 12 by 20 outside, and then by the time you take up stuff on the inside, of course you lose a little bit, but that's what I'm looking for. And it's basically for me to have a place, and I've kind of designed what I want for me to be able to sort when I'm making kits and things like that. And then I'm also wanting to store my batting there, so it'll be easier for me to get to my different types of batting, because I use about maybe 3 or 4 different kind depending upon customer quilt demands at the time. So I want to do that. T says, what would be the flooring if you don't use concrete? You would make a wood pallet type deck, but it's stabilized and everything underneath, so it can hold the weight on top. It's just not like building a square and putting wood on top of it. You got all kind of cross members underneath that are keeping it from so that it's stable and not gonna sink in the middle and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have my new shed made, so it's I don't have any materials. So it's not made of anything, Darcy, because I'm starting over from scratch at this point. Tiny dust bites, I think she says dust mites are evil. Keep your thread and machine covered when not in use. So that's just good in any place. I did plan to have this shed have home doors, home windows, things like that. Have the walls finished so that I wouldn't have to worry about outside cold or heat penetrating, insulated everything. So it was intended to be finished like that. It's just that I'm having to start over from square one at this point. So I don't know if it's gonna actually get done this year at this point. I'm really disappointed because I had started preparing for that, and now I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with all this crap in my house that I pulled out and reorganized, and now I have nowhere to put it. So that's the problem, because I had already started pulling fabrics that I was gonna put in there. When I put my fabrics back on my wall, I was pulling fabrics out that were going to go into the actual shed. So, and that's not going to happen for a while. I don't think I will have a loft area to double the storage space, because I'm going to be using shelving units. So I will not be having a loft area. Diane talking about it's made of dreams. Tiffany says Lowe's and Home Depot have some awesome sheds. If I had the yard and money, I would totally get one. They are like houses, and even two-story ones is crazy. The problem with that is that if you get a pre-made shed that's not for me, with a fenced yard, you have to take your fence down, and then you have to replace your fence. Most times you take stuff down that's been up 20 years, you're going to end up replacing that and probably the whole fence at that point, because they're going to come up with some stuff about they ain't got this and they ain't got that. So I'm trying not to take down my fence. That's why I was going the contractor route. And then the ones built by the contractors are better built than the ones that you buy straight from the store. So that's one of the reasons why I was trying to get one built, because it's going to be built like a little mini house as compared to built like a shed. So when they do my framing, it would be made so that it's knowing that I'm going to be putting in insulation and electrical and all of that type of stuff. So that's the reason. But I did start with Home Depot and Lowe's looking at ideas, and then I was seeing they don't do platforms. I would have to have the level surface already done, so there are some things that I would have to do before they even came. They just place it on that surface. They don't do any of the stuff to make sure that it's secure to that surface. So I did read a lot, and I went and read fine print on their website. They just deliver a shed, and they got to be able to get it into your yard. So that was the issue. The only opening in my yard is a gate. Otherwise, I've got a pull back fence that's some parts of it got brush on it, so it's going to be hard to pull that fence up. I got like one side that they could have come in on, but that's the hardest fence to remove, because the other side of the fence, they never did anything to the yard on that side. They never trimmed, use a trimmer, and so all the stuff is grown up on that side, and there's only so much you can do year after year living with neighbors that don't do their part, you know. My husband's shed can hold a car. I made it 10 feet larger, and he's filled it up. Ain't that something? I had to get one so I could get stuff out of the garage. My garage was full, and that's the other thing, because I had started stowing some of my African prints there, and then it was like when I got this part done, then I went and took all the stuff that I had in the house stored and pulled it out and started putting other stuff in that place. So I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. I'm just stressed. I keep telling my husband, I said, that's probably why my stomach hurt, because I'm just stressed. And when I start thinking about it, it stresses me out. And right, Nikki, it's frustrating that you have to start over. Exactly. It's like I spent a lot of time and doing a lot of research and trying to figure out what I wanted. And then my husband is so I don't know how you would come. He tight with his money. And he tight even with my money, and he ain't spending it. But it for me to talk to him and get his approval on stuff, it's like he has to marinate on particular things a lot longer than I do. It's already been in my head for a while, and then when I finally decide I'm going to bring it out to him, it's like it's got to marinate on his head as well. And so then I need his input because he does the yard work, and I want to make sure that I'm not putting this shed somewhere where it's going to be more difficult for him to do yard work. So that's another part of it. So yeah. Sounds like inventory and kit cutting time versus putting it all back. I don't even know where I'm going to get the time right now, because the problem with that is that I have nowhere to put the stacks. I can't take up my long arm because I got a quilt. I can't. That's where I normally sort my long arm and my big board. I don't have that space. When I was building the shed, I had incorporated an area that was my sorting area that I could just leave that stuff there for days. It wouldn't bother a thing in the rest of the shed. I had it all planned how it was going to work. So that's the problem. I wish our neighborhoods would trim their hedge next to our fence, overgrown, and made our garden shady. Yeah. And so what we do now is we just trim it across the top of the fence. That's all we can do. So trying to take that fence down, we would have to take that fence down, and it'd have to be cut out underneath at the roots with the tree stuff. And then we'd have to reinstall that fencing on that line. So it's just a matter of, more money. It's when you got a project for this amount of money and then you keep adding things to it, you start messing with the budget on your project, and then you end up with a 10 by 10 shed instead of a 10 by 20 because the price of everything that keeps adding up. So I'm trying to get the size shed I need so I don't have to worry about this in the future. We had a shed, and we found after the first snow, we had to make sure to keep snow off from the roof. We had problems. We had to reinforce the roof in the spring, and then we didn't have a leak, but it showed. Yeah, and that's the thing. The shed that I have in my garage has a house roof on it, and so I'm looking for something very similar. I'm not looking for tin roof, all that type of stuff. I'm looking for something that just looked like it's a little mini house built in the yard, because we haven't had any leaks with this shed. This shed's been here over 20 years, probably 30 years, and we haven't had any issues with this shed as far as leaking on the inside from the roof and stuff. We got problems with some of the nails have come out, so it's a little busted. So we were talking about replacing that one next, but we can't even get the first one, okay? Because 3 sides of this shed is fine. It's just one side that we put some wood in there and didn't realize that the wood slipped, and the wood started pressing the nails out of the boards of the shed. That's really what happened. It's our fault that happened. And so one side of it isn't quite airtight, but it don't even leak over there because of how the trees are situated right there. So, but it'll work out. Dolores says, I only saw the last 2 quilts and they were both beautiful. Well, thank you, Dolores. Nikki saying, laughing out loud, my husband too. Yeah. My husband, when I first met him, he was tight with his money to a certain extent. He was a bowler, so he spent it on bowling. But spending his money on anything else, I'm looking at him over here. It was like pulling teeth to get this man to come out with the money. And then he got into collecting watches, I'm going to say, for about maybe 10 years. And then I'm looking up and like the doorbell ringing. And I'm like, okay, now he used to complain about the doorbell ringing for the stuff that I got coming. Now the doorbell ringing, his watch. And so then he got so many of those. He probably got 2 or 3 different cases at times. And then he decided he had enough watches. He got mad at the people that were selling them the changes that were being made and stuff like that. And then he just quit cold turkey, okay? He done. But he does love watches. He said he has 22 watches. And so, yeah, that was the one thing I would never buy him because I never knew what he already had. So, but he loved watches. But now, back into his aging years, he back to the holding on. I ain't got no money. I'm like, oh Lord, give me a break. It showed that we have to have cement underneath the shed. That's June. Um, um, we have bunnies living under the shed with the bricks. We do have little rabbits here, but I ain't interested in being close to me. I've seen some bunnies in the yard, like in the backyard, never on the front. I've seen a time or two. You've never seen a bunny? I've seen a bunny a time or two.
I've seen we had raccoons.
No, we don't. We had one of them because. And Darcy's reminding people to hit the thumbs up button. So thank you, Darcy. Please hit the thumbs up button on both videos that we did today, please, so we can keep them in circulation. Stopping in to say hi and good night. Catch the replay. Hi, Janine. Good night. Tiffany says Scout is a money saver too. We are coupon shoppers and deals and sales before anything. If he don't find it for a reasonable price, we end up not getting it. But it good keeps me from overspending. Yeah, something like certain things you want to make sure you got quality on. So I'm one of those people that I always shop in the middle. I don't ever shop the cheap end and I don't ever shop the highest end. I always tend to go in the middle as far as quality. But I knew that I was going to be having fabric in this shed, so I was on the high end on this shed. Because I wanted to make sure that what I'm sending to people is right. Y'all also know that I'm a stickler for not sending you something that has an odor or smell or anything like that. So I wanted to make sure that everything that I was doing in this shed was going to be right. Hence, I was putting in house doors and house windows because I wanted to make sure that no dust or anything was going to be penetrating into this shed by, if you buy like a shed from Home Depot, they might miss a spot that's not airtight. It's not sealed. You got to go seal it yourself and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted something that's why I wanted a contractor that made house-like structures to make my shed. So I'm gonna be starting over from scratch, and I haven't even decided when I'm doing that. I got other things on my agenda I got to do. I'm trying to find retreat centers. I've been leaving messages for the past couple of days for two. Some of my members of my guild are also contacting groups, and so we're all going to get together. We're trying to find appropriate things that can accommodate what we're looking for at retreat centers. So we're on the hunt for places because it seems like a lot of things are about to change here. So we're trying to get our stuff together. So I'm dealing with that as well. I'm also dealing with my scrap club. We're redoing our t-shirts, not the logo, but the shirt colors and the design logo color. So we're dealing with that. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And then I need to start working on this retreat. So I really don't have time to deal with the shed anymore because the shed should already been in the process of being made now and being delivered mid-July. But I'm at the beginning part. I'm actually behind because I'm not even at beginning stages because I don't even have what I need to have because the idiot in the office hasn't sent me the information that I requested from her. Like, I don't know what the big problem is. She sounds like she's, everything's on the up and up, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go talk to her in her face again. It's ridiculous. I am so frustrated. My husband doesn't like to spend money, but he went and bought a Camaro. Late life crisis. Bowen Beth says best shares. I'm not gonna say nothing about that Camaro because I drive. That's one of my favorite sports cars. Was Camaro as a kid, as a teenager. So yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing about that Camaro. Best sheds come from a pile of lumber. We were able to run plumbing for our potty because we were Work for ourselves, yes. And that's the other reason why working with a contractor, you can do exactly what you want, put windows exactly where you want them. And that was part of the reasoning why I wanted to build my own too, because I had total control of where things were going to go, where my door was going to go, where my two windows were going to go, the height, all of that. I had the width of my door was also going to be a wider door, so I wouldn't have to worry about when I was using a dolly getting in and out, all of that. You know, that's one of the reasons why you build your own. You get exactly what you want. It does cost more money, but it's a better thing than just buying what's at Lowe's or Home Depot as well. My husband is the same way, claims he's poor now. That's funny. We made our own cement. Yeah, we could do that too. But it's a lot of work. Well, I'm not. It's too hot for that. And it takes a lot of bags of cement. Do you know we got just sand that we got to put into these umbrellas. We got 2 umbrellas and we ain't put the sand in there. By the time we got into the back deck, we was tired. It's hot. We ain't filled up now one of them bags with sand, but we put the sand, the whole sand bag is just sitting inside the thing instead of putting it inside the sandbag holder. Yeah, we got the bags in there, but we don't have them in the bag that they give you to put it in. So, yeah. It's too much. It's too much. We old now. We're not young as we used to be. Rhonda says, hey, T and everyone. My thumb is up. Hey, Rhonda Barlow. Thank you. Are you going to give your she shop a name? I don't know. I take care of finances, laughing out loud, but he gets the mail, so I am busted that way. That's bad. The funny thing is, when we first got together, we had already decided we just split certain bills in half, and then at times he'll pay cell phone bill, then I paid it for years and had my mom on there. Then when I took my mom off, he went back. He's been paying it for the last year and a half, but I paid it for a good chunk of years. So we like determine who's paying what bills, and then after that, your money is your money. Just pay the bill. So we've never had. We do have an account that's sort of kind of joint, but it's really his account. And then we can transfer money when we need to transfer money if something major comes up, stuff like that. But we've never really had money issues like that. I'm not saying that he ain't discussed it every time the doorbell rings. But sometimes I have to tell him that a lot of times when stuff is coming, it's not necessarily for me personal. It could be something that I need in my business. Like when I order batting and it has to come on a freight truck or something because I ordered a lot of batting. It's not just I'm ordering for me personally. I'm ordering because I also have a business that I run. So I had to explain that to him. Sometimes it's for me and sometimes it's not. I have to order equipment to, technical stuff. iPads, laptops, phones. I got to keep up to date with technology so that I can keep uploading videos. So it's a little bit different. We have to save money right now for sure. Joe only has 1 day of high school left, then off to college. Yeah, child, that's a whole nother different ball game, child. And I'm almost glad that she went when I was working, so I didn't have to worry about it. And I was still able to retire early. I was just glad that that I didn't have to worry about that in my mid-50s paying for college for somebody. Ooh, Lord. Woo. Yeah, that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money and getting on your nerves.
And part of it is I didn't want my kid, because I was trying to make, I think as parents, when you're raising kids, you always want your kids to have a higher living, or try to raise them a little bit better than how you were raised. And so I was trying to make sure that, she didn't have to have her own student loans and things like that, so that she could start her life off on the right foot and not in intense debt like I had to. And so, yeah. So I was trying to make her life a little easier, and it was still good because I had it all paid off by the time, even paid off by the time I retired. I had her student loan. Not I got student loan. I had like college life insurance that I could have used, but when I contacted them and I asked them if I had to use, you can get insurance on kids when they're small, and then you can get education policies, you can get life insurance policies, all of that. And if something happened to them, they'll pay you. So that's kind of what I did. I had those type policies. But then I called those people and asked them if I had to cash that out when she turned 18, and they said no. So I just kept the life insurance on her, because your kids can be working today and then something happened in their life, then something happened to them, and then you're the one that's burying your child. I mean, I'm sorry, Tiffany, I didn't mean to go there, but you need to be able to make sure that if something happened, that you're covered and you can prepare for that. So I never cashed in those policies that I had for my daughter, and I have a stepdaughter too. We have the same one policy, the same on her. So yeah, I'm always looking into the future. So I just paid for her stuff. I went ahead and applied for the loans, even though I had the money there, and then I just paid it off, because if you paid it off before she got out, I didn't have to pay the interest or something on it. It's some kind of way they had it written up if a parent signed it at the time. So it was kind of like an interest-free loan, long as it was paid before she got out of school. So that's kind of how I did it. So it's kind of like paying cash in a way. You just paying so much every month of what's due. Darcy says, I turned 50 this year. Woohoo! Welcome to half a century, girl. My husband told me, we remember those days. Well, I'm going to get going. I need to shower. That's Tiff. Bye, Tiff. Nikki said, we didn't put sand in the basketball hoop. Yep, sitting on top. Poor Grancy. Girl, I wouldn't know. I got sand in mine, and I'm trying to give it away. I'm going to see if these kids across my yard family want to see if they come over here and get the sand out of this thing and take this basketball hoop. It's been here since my daughter was a kid, and we tired of it, and this thing heavy with the sand in there, and we don't feel like being bothered. I wish somebody would come take it. You can have it for free. They do have to buy a net, because the weather takes the net, but everything else has been fine on it. I tried giving it to some family members. They won't come get it. Elaine says, the secret, your shed will work out great. Yeah, it'll work out great when it's time. When I want to put more time into it, it'll work out. Thanks, Joan, saying smart tea. We all have all that stuff on him also. Yeah. T says, I'm paying my granddaughter's tuition, wasn't able to pay daughter's tuition, had to take out loans. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You can only do so much in life, and if you can try to help them, you try to help them, even if it's just a little. You don't have to be able to pay it all the time, because maybe they do need to learn so that they don't get debt somewhere else. One of my pet peeves about financing is that people are giving these kids in college credit cards, and they don't have a job, thinking that the parents are going to pay for it. That's my pet peeve in life. And your kids can get in debt because they don't understand that. And giving somebody a credit card. Now, if you went and applied for a credit card as an adult, they barely want to give you one, but they're going to give a kid one because they know a parent is taking care of them. So that's one of the things that's my pet peeve with college and universities, knowing that these kids are in college, they're giving these kids credit cards, and the whole interim, they racking up credit that they got for going to school, and then they're gonna have all this credit from these credit cards that's adding this 30% almost interest. And then every month you don't pay late fees and all this other stuff, and they okay with that because they know when they get a job they're gonna start garnishing their checks and stuff. It's the world. They start these people off on such a bad footing, and I don't like it. That should be illegal to me. That should be illegal. And they keep doing it year after year after year, and nobody's going after these credit card companies. It should not be allowed. I'm trying to clean up my stuff, y'all. It's getting dark out here. We got more light than I ever seen back here. all these motion lights on. We'll be having camouflages soon, so I'm packing up. This right here, I'm gonna put all 4 of these in this envelope. Well, don't have to worry about losing it. I'm packing up, y'all. I'm gonna turn you guys around. Y'all can just watch me. Gotta get these quilts off the bed. Might want to go behind. Oh, I forgot about I put some pins down in the bottom. Don't go down. I forgot I was doing double work. I wanted to make sure they didn't fly off the deck, so I put pins in the down on the front side of the deck this time. I don't normally do that. What was that comment? I can't see the comments. Darcy says, I'm proud of my son. He does have his own car, but when he lost in the car, the first thing he did right away was turn it off. Right. Thanks for showing us your beautiful quilts. Love the first one. Love the boho hearts and the wedding quilt too. So that's Joan. Thank you. I enjoyed you being outside today. Yeah, it was totally different. I said they'll get a kick out of this. I won't tell them that it's a different scene until I come up. Totally agree. Greedy credit card people. Yep. They do it all the time. And I'm like, and that's one of the reasons. Sorry, guys. That's one of the reasons why I go for, if you can't pay for it, don't buy it. Because that's how I started out, not knowing. And then my mom didn't have the financial means to teach me finance. That was one of the reasons why I went to school in accounting. Because I wanted to understand finance. But these credit card companies are some cruel people. But right now, they working for me. I ain't working for them no more. They are so wrong. But I got myself situated, and even when I realized what was going on, I had to sit down and regroup and get myself together so that I could get those credit cards paid. But yeah, they get you coming and going, and once you get so far behind, it's very difficult to pay that stuff off. So it's hard. So yeah, that's my pet peeve. That's why you all always hear me talking about debt all the time. So you guys are just keeping me company now. You all know that, right? While I get the quilt tops off the deck. But once I got rid of that the debt from credit cards being a student, I swore I would never be in that situation again. Here. Then I hear the people that have money, that's how they keep money. They file bankruptcy every 10 years. Just trying to see if there was anything I need to read. Yeah, when you cut them, yeah, she's saying cut the credit card up when you pay. You can cut that credit card up before it's paid too. Thanks for showing us. Oh, I think I read those. So I agree. No credit card for college kids. Right. It's different if you want to get them a card off of your own account because you know what they're spending. When you don't know what somebody is spending, I don't know where. This is my card I got up here. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to get you all so when I go to the other side, you can see me a little bit. I doubt if you can see me. Yes, you can. I got 2 more quilts I got to take off from here. My husband's over there getting the other quilt, so that's nice. Thank you. So yeah, now y'all are my entertainment. I had to get this one. I had to move from under the umbrella to fold this one up. It's so big. Okay. That one. I got it. Yep. Yeah. All right. All right, guys. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. You people that came back. We got up to 90 something. I can't remember what the highest number was, but we did get up to 90 something people in here. So thank you all so much for coming back, spending some time with me, seeing my projects in their clarity, because they were so blurry on the video that I felt really bad. So I will see you all on Saturday for live sew and chat. You all stay blessed, be safe, and quilt out. Bye.